I love you.
This is Green and Faceless on the couch with Waffles and Mochi.
Hello, this is a podcast about movies and TV. Neither of us are Waffles and Mochi.
Yeah, they're actually not with us today, but
No, that would be fucking awesome, though.
we were on the couch with them. They were on our TVs.
Yeah, we were. And wherever Waffles and Mochi are on screen, they are physically inhabiting that space. That is Muppet Law. Some people call it the Henson Principle. Muppet Law works too.
We should do a whole novel called that. Build
the Henson Principle.
The Henson Principle. There's a sci-fi movie for you.
I don't actually know if Jim Henson his brand had anything to do with this. I should have looked that up, but I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, they're just people can have puppets, Blake.
Yeah, I know, but they are very Waffles and Mochi, and the other characters in this are very Jim Henson-esque, I would say.
Yeah.
It might have been somebody who worked with him and, is doing this. There's a lot of people he worked with.
Nobody did puppets for kids better than Jim Henson.
No,
even if that wasn't his intended desire from the get-go.
Yeah. And you know what, though? This is a pretty good step away from that, though, I think. It's still being puppets, that is. Yeah, I think this show is fun.
Are you saying you're not a fan of that one show or that one movie that came out with Melissa McCarthy a couple of years ago?
No, I didn't watch it, but I mean, the trailer alone kept me away, man. I mean, geez.
I did. I watched it. I think I've talked about it on the podcast already, where it's like I drove home, or I didn't drive. I didn't have a car at the time, so I took a cab home. And when the cab pulled up, he was like, "Hey, hop in the front seat with me." He was a very chatty guy, and so it was just like I got in there, and he was so ready to talk, but I talked the entire time instead because I was bitching about the movie. So he just had to sit there and listen to me complain about this movie for the whole 20-minute ride.
So this is secretly our review of oh shit, what is that movie called? It's something like Happy Hour.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is something about Happy Hour, isn't it? Oh man, I have no idea. It's completely gone from my mind. Yeah. I just remember homicide movie.
Yeah, it's not just Happy Hour though. It's not. So yeah, it's a Muppet homicide movie. So this is the review of that show that I have not seen. I probably won't see it. That's my review.
No, we probably will someday. We'll probably put it with some other.
Okay, some disappointing or adult puppet humor. There we go, adult puppet humor.
Yeah,
there's some good ones that can go with that.
And our fans out there, just to plug this, our fans out there, you can create your own playlist or your own threesome episode. If you join our Patreon, if you donate to our Patreon, you could recommend. You could recommend a threesome for a patron pick monthly episode. I don't know if the polls are open or if we're still taking recommendations, but our higher tiered patrons that is, can recommend a threesome, and then all our tiered patrons can vote on them. Indeed. And some lucky smart individual out there can design a threesome where that Muppet movie is part of the deal, and force us to watch it, along with many other movies, preferably movies that are not porn or other things.
We don't want to do that. Also, easily accessible is nice.
Yeah. If you can stream it somewhere, that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
But today we're talking Waffles and Mochi. We got there from puppets and puppetry because that is who Waffles and Mochi are. That's the world they live in. It's an intermixed world of puppets and real people.
Very Sesame Street feel.
And I enjoy it. And we should get the political bit out front. It is a show for Netflix produced by Higher Ground Productions, which is the Obama family's production company. So if you're someone out there who absolutely hates Obama, we're not going to get too... I mean, we've gotten political on the show before, but I think it's obvious where we stand on things. But we don't want to scare people away, but do know that if you just can't stand Michelle Obama, you're not really gonna like this show. But I do think it's worth it for your kids to watch. There's a lot of good meaning and message behind a lot of these episodes, and there's a lot of good knowledge too.
Right, yeah. Particularly over food and the whole health thing. The initiative is pretty important to Michelle Obama, and that's why she produced this show, I'm sure. And she plays the store owner.
It's like a grocery store? Or
yeah, it's a grocery store. I think they call it a supermart. Or convenient. I don't know what they call it, but
she spends most of her time on the roof garden.
In the garden on the roof.
Garden on the roof.
Yeah,
and I love that. That's a great concept. Yeah. Like I remember I did for an environmental science class or something in high school. I did a report on doing like turning your roofs into gardens, like use porous rock.
Nice.
And
that'd be nice. That'd be fun. I'd like that. I just have this. I got a huge yard, so. But I could turn my yard into a garden if I wanted
to. I have a tiny little spot where I've planted a small garden, so I'm hoping that grows. But
yeah, what'd you
storming
plant?
Like crazy out. Zinnias.
Zinnias. Okay, nice, beautiful. Yeah,
by recommendation from a lady that I worked with once. She's retired now. Congrats to her.
Congrats.
She told me to plant zinnias, and we're gonna see if I can do it. If I can get a tiny little garden.
Well, good luck. I mean, you got green thumbs, so you're halfway there.
I know, it helps. It really does help.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I do think Obama got the idea for this show when he read our file.
Oh, yeah?
Because Mochi is kind of faceless. And I mean, Waffles isn't green, but he is a weird monstrosity that, most humans would probably shriek at when they saw.
I have never been so honored to be compared to a television character than right now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I fucking love Mochi.
Yeah. I mean, he's got that Baby Yoda effect where it's just like instant screen grab, like you just in love because it's like, oh, cute and adorable, and like I want you in my purse, like.
And yeah, there's like bastard. It's really like nothing too, like it's like the easiest
it's just
little bit of CGI.
Pink foam ball.
Yeah, it's just a little pink foam ball and a string. Oh, I mean, oh shit, that he's alive. He is a little Mochi ball. They even tell you how to make him in the show. That's a whole episode. They do that.
There's a whole episode about that, which I was like, that's one of my favorite things about this show is there's so much about food. I love watching people cook, but I myself am not a good cook. I'm really bad at it. And there's a lot of this movie or this show where it's just like, here's how you can make this. And it's like, that does look fucking super easy. And I'm like, I didn't think I would be able to make that, but that looks like I could just fucking do it right now. And it's all these like professional chefs. Yeah,
they're professional chefs, and of course they make it look easy. Well, I don't think we quite managed to express what this show is actually about. So, Waffles and Mochi, they're from the land of frozen food. I almost said of forgotten food, like the fucking Christmas movies.
Soul.
Oh, or Soul, yeah. They decide that they want to see what's out there in the world because they're tired of just watching Julia Child, even though it's good stuff.
I forgot about that.
They go out and they make it to, I don't know, some world adjacent to ours, and they start working for Michelle Obama.
Mrs. O.
Mrs. O, you're right. Mrs. O. They are now grocery store workers, employees, but they know nothing about food, and they have a magic cart that takes them across the world to meet chefs and different cooking people, and they discover the world through food, and it's very nice.
Yeah. And as they're traveling, the cart shows them little interviews with children all around the world, and all these children's opinion of the food that they're going to explore. And it's just so adorable. Like, so it's like, again, this is a show obviously made for kids. We've compared it to Sesame Street, and it's kind of fun that people are probably gonna watch this and like these guys struggle, or like the Green Traveler struggles to get through movies, but he watched a children's TV show. And it was just it was weird. It was nice just to put this on like right before I was going to bed, and it was just calming. And I was like, whoa, you learned a little bit about food, and
Right.
and it's so pleasant. There's also a lot of just silly.
Oh, really
Some
silly.
people,
It's so good.
yeah, but some people would call them oh crap, what is it? Hidden messages? What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, subliminal.
Subliminal. Thank you. Some people would call them subliminal messages, like whenever they use the magic cart to go somewhere, uh, they would lift off from the sky, and the cart would start flying, and Waffles would scream, "Listen to your vegetables," and then the overhead speaker, which speaks in a baby's voice, would say, "And eat your parents."
Yeah, very
and
excitedly too.
yeah, very happily. And it's just a silly, hilarious joke, but I have seen some very hardcore, wild, right-wing nutsos who are just like, the Obamas are telling you to eat your parents and commit cannibalism. They're trying to brew this. And it's just like, they're just, I don't even think they're real right-wing nutsos. I think it's just like,
Just some
trolls trying to make
trolls,
this
yeah.
like conspiracy website. But oh my god, it's funny.
I really do love listen to your vegetables and eat your parents. Me and my wife say it all the time now. We really enjoyed watching this show, so that up front is just my endorsement, I guess.
I mean, that's why I started the whole freaking podcast off with the theme song. That's instead of this is green and faceless on the couch, it's listen to your vegetables and eat your parents with Waffles and Mochi.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
It's a fucking beautiful theme song. It's just I don't know, every time it came up, Netflix has this option every time your TV show goes to the next episode, once the theme song happens, it's like, do you want to skip this intro? And it pops up, and it's just like, if it's a really long intro, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it's like, sure, I don't want to watch this intro. Every single time with this show, all 10 episodes or whatever it was, I was like, no, I don't want to skip the fucking intro. This shit's adorable. What are you talking about?
It's hilarious. Yeah. Oh man, I do. And so basically, it's a kids show. Again, we've said it a couple times already. It's got a kids show structure, but it does a really good job of playing with that structure. So the episode starts off, something happens that reveals that they don't know something about food, and then they go to the magic cart and they go around the world and figure it out, and sometimes use that to save the day at the end of the episode.
Save the day is that's pushing it a little bit. I think they saved the
sometimes
day once in the whole season.
Well, they learned something, and it's always important, and it's typically about food. Sometimes there's other things like friendship, but mostly food.
They grow so well. They're so beautifully
throughout
the whole show.
They do.
Except for, I almost called him Bumbly. His name is Busy. He's a bee.
Busy, yeah.
He's
Jonathan Kidder.
Jonathan, yeah. He's Mrs. O's first aide.
like assistant manager or something.
Yeah. The second in command, first aide. He's a medical doctor. No. But he's just this weird little bee who sometimes he seems very mean, and then sometimes he's just like a very pleasant character. Mm-hmm. But it's like there's only like 2 or 3 episodes where he's just like, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know Waffles and Mochi's name, and I'm gonna call them Pancakes and Micho or whatever. And it's just
Mochi, I think.
He just doesn't do it consistently. He only does it for like 3 episodes, and it's just like, I don't get you. Are you like a mean-spirited like guy, or who are you? He was the only part of this whole show where I'm just like, what is your purpose here? Like,
I don't want to like take away from this conversation about Busy and some of the other reoccurring characters, but I did remember something about the structure is that they always get a badge. Always get a badge from Mrs. O.
Oh yeah.
And they put it on their apron that they don't wear at any other time except for when they're getting a badge.
Except for this big reveal. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, and it's always a nice moment because, again, as you said, it's part of the structure. That's one of the few things that just stays the exact same, is that rotating shot of them on the Lazy Susan, where it's like they just come around to the camera and there's a new badge on their chest and they're very proud, chest jutted out, like, fuck yeah, we did this.
And to go back to what you're saying about Busy, about how you said you're not sure that you quite get his character. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm happy that he is there because it gave something for Mrs. O to play off of. And Mrs. O, I think she's a nice lady, but she's not really an actor. So at some points, her acting is I don't want to call it lackluster because she seems like she wants to be there. She just, is new to it. So Busy kind of gives her something to kind of bounce that back off of and have a little bit of comedy with and feel a little bit more involved with the rest of the world. So I appreciate Busy for that purpose.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. And because there are moments where you definitely do get that sense. It's like, well, she's not an actor, so I'm not going to, harsh on her too much right now. Because, there's times where she'll talk to Waffles and Mochi and you're just like, all right, you need a little more energy in your delivery there. Yeah. It's a little one note.
She's a busy lady,
and I hate to. I hate to do that to her because she, as you said, she is not an actor, but she does a great job. It is very enjoyable to watch, and I thought it was hilarious when she first launched this initiative, way back. I think I was like maybe a senior in high school when she was just like launching that. Let's fix school lunches and everything. Let's eat healthier, and she was getting so much backlash, and like even in high school, I was like, no, yeah, this is okay. I would be happier if I was eating a little healthier because there was a lot of garbage that I was eating and I was getting a little heavy and I was like, I don't have the self-control. I mean, I do, but I didn't as a kid because I didn't think about it.
Every Wednesday was Bosco Stick Day. And I spent extra lunch money on that.
Well, we always had, you always have lunch money, and we always had a cart of frozen goodies. So it's like I would eat the daily meal, and then I would go back in and be like, I'm gonna get myself a Choco Taco, and I would eat that little chocolate ice cream taco, and I would do that almost every single day because I was a kid and I didn't think about that shit. And now, as an older adult who has digestive issues, I'm just like, I want to go back and punch that kid. Or I can put the blame on somebody else because that is the American way.
Fix
the education system. They need to fix the system so that I can't get access to that kind of shit when I was a younger kid.
Yeah, no, but for real, we should be feeding our kids better, and I'm happy that this show exists to kind of make them excited about eating better. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think another great thing this show does is the diversity and how it delivers on that diversity. They'll go to a restaurant and somebody will be speaking in sign language while also delivering the dialogue verbally or orally. I mean,
right. That was in the first episode.
Yeah, and it's very nice because they just like briefly touch on it. It's like, why are you speaking with your hands? And it's just like, oh, because most of our staff is deaf. They all speak with sign language. And it's just a nice, like, just easy way to just, like, get that into kids' minds. It's just like so many people speak in different languages. They'll have conversations with kids from, I think, Peru, from, like, Japan, like, all over the world who are speaking their natural language. And you just have a translator who's just, talking over it. And it's just so nice that it's just like, this show just trusts kids to understand it. It's not gonna, it's gonna deliver on diversity and also educate and entertain at the same time, and it's really lovely in that way.
Right, it really is. And if anything, when that happens, if the kid is a little bit confused why they are hearing different sounds come out of the person speaking's mouth and then English going on, that's a conversation that you get to have with your kid and be like, oh, well, there's different languages around the world.
No, don't. That's bad. Americans don't want to have conversations with our kids. The show delivers all the education you need. You don't have to worry about talking to your child.
That's why the show exists, not so that we can have, better relationships with our children. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not a father. I'm.
That was just a joke, people. I wholly agree with what the faceless Leone is suggesting. That is precisely what you should do with your kids. But oh man, it was hilarious watching a lot of online and at the workplace, all that kind of stuff. I think the ladies I worked with handled it really well. But like watching parents over quarantine just like explode trying to educate their kids. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
I think these are the kinds of shows like this, Sesame Street, all that kind of stuff, especially for young children. These are the kind of shows that are perfect to put on, and they deliver education and I think entertainment. I don't know if neither, as you said, neither of us are fathers. We don't have kids.
Well, okay, but I mean, I found it very entertaining, and I think it's kind of important for kids and parents to be able to watch something together. So I hope that this style, or at least this quality of show, kind of trends, so that there can be more that you would be interested in watching with your kids, even if it becomes their favorite and they want to watch it over and over again. Because there's just enough quippiness and really good bits, honestly, that would keep it interesting, even if your kid was like, let's watch this again, which they're gonna do.
If I do become a parent, like, it's gonna be very obvious that's like it's gonna be tit for tat. We'll watch your show, and then you'll watch my show. They'll watch this, and then we'll watch Star Wars together. They'll definitely have to watch Doctor Who, which I don't sadly have any Doctor Who. I don't think any of the characters in this were in Doctor Who at any time. Maybe in cameo.
I don't know.
I didn't do
so.
that research for this show. But yeah, they'll definitely have to watch Doctor Who and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and all that good stuff. And it'll be a good trade-off. I'll watch the frickin' Paw Patrol, but then you gotta watch Star Wars.
All right, but listen. All right, listen.
You're not gonna tell me Paw Patrol's good, are you?
No, I have nothing about Paw Patrol. I don't know anything about that. Except for the toys, because we worked at Target, and it's like when it was really starting to get to its height.
Yeah.
And I always worked the toy section because I really like toys. And I always made it look really good, too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. We got started talking about toys. Well, you mentioned Paw Patrol, but you mentioned something else with that. Oh yeah, all right. Lord of the Rings. I was totally good with those first two movies. Everything that happened in those first two movies. When they started catapulting those heads in the third movie, I had the worst dreams.
That might not be good for kids. I thought about that. Literally, when you mentioned the first two movies, I was like, "Oh no, what's in the third movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, catapulting heads."
Yeah, that shit was fucked up.
Not the best for kids, is it?
Not quite.
My kids are still gonna watch it. I don't care.
And the freezing Han scene that fucked with me too. But I saw that much younger than I saw.
Well, yeah.
The other.
Yeah, my kids are gonna have nightmares no matter what. Like, I'm, the first time that they want to sit down on a Halloween night with me, we're watching Halloween. And then they're not gonna want to watch Halloween movies with me ever again.
What did they do to him, Dad?
Don't worry about it. He just stuck a knife through him, and he's just hanging on the closet door. It's all right.
Don't worry about it. He's fine.
It's acting.
Yeah, it's a puppet.
It's how my dad, we watched Indiana Jones, and it's just the Temple of Doom happens, and the Kamehameha, or not the Kamehameha, the Kalema. Yeah, that whole scene. I called it Kamehameha. Oh my god. Anyways, that whole scene, my dad was just like sitting there. Mom was just like, cover his eyes. And Dad's like, we own the fucking movie. He's not, why bother covering his eyes? And it's just like my dad was he just kept saying, he's like, it's just a movie, right? You know that. It's just acting. It's just, this isn't real. You're not going to have nightmares about this, are you? And I was like, no, Dad, I'm not. And like 2 nights later, I'm just up in my bedroom like, God, Jesus. Like, he ripped his fucking heart out of his chest.
There shouldn't be any nightmares in this show.
There is one scary episode.
Oh yeah, is it the mushroom episode?
Yeah, it was the mushroom episode. Yeah, because it was like
she, excuse me. Waffles is afraid of the mushrooms for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and they frame it in a horror like atmosphere at first, and I really dug that. That was really cool.
It was hilarious.
That was that was one of my favorites.
Guest star of Stranger Things, Gaten Matarazzo.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry, I probably fucked up your name, but you're brilliant. So thank you for your work, and thanks for being in this show.
Yeah, he was lovely.
Yeah, he did a good job. That's my favorite episode, I think. There's a lot of really good stuff in that. That was the next thing I was going to ask you, is what our favorite episodes were. And I love this episode because, first off, like, the way they approach mushrooms, which is a thing that kids are definitely, like, not into typically, at least in our culture. And the way they approached it was so good. Like, it made them inviting. At the end of the episode, even though Waffles was afraid of them at first. And it explains that they are a completely different part of the kingdom of life, whatever.
The ecosystem.
That's sure. Yeah, I don't know. I used to know these things, but it's been a while since high school biology. They're not animals. They're not plants. There's something different. They're fungi, and they're beautiful in their own way. They grow differently, and some of them taste delicious, and some of them will kill you. So you gotta know your mushrooms. You gotta know your mushrooms.
Oh man. I agree. This is also my favorite episode. Just
is it?
Out there. This and the herbs and spices one.
I did it.
The herbs and spices.
It was a good ender.
Which was another one. That was another one that was a little bit like a horror episode because all the color disappeared and it was kind of frightening. Yeah,
it was.
But the mushrooms though, growing up as a kid, I hated them. I could not stand store-bought mushrooms. The only type of mushroom I enjoyed were the ones that I had to go out and find with my parents when we went morel mushroom hunting. We had some woods near our house. We would always go out every year and come back with a good bag full, almost always. And it was just so much fun. It was just a nice little, go out and hike with the old man, the mama, and just find, me and my brother weren't the best. We were very impatient hunters, but we did find some great hot spots. It's hard as a kid to go out and be patient and look at the ground and look for morels, but at the same time, it's a very meditative thing that I enjoy doing now as an adult. I love going morel mushroom hunting now.
Yeah, we've gone a few times, and I can't say we've had any luck so far, but it's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, I don't know the hot spots near here.
Right,
I gotta figure it out. I mean, that's the problem is.
Hunted before we get there too.
Well, that and there's no soul that's gonna tell you where their hiding spot is for these places. It's like you're not gonna give that secret away once you find it.
Right, exactly.
They're too good. Mushrooms are fucking great.
They are fucking good.
I love them more now.
They are very flavorful, and that flavor is called umami.
Umami. Oh, man, I love that joke too. But there was just a moment in college where I'm a vegetarian now, but when I was in college, I wasn't, not towards the beginning at least. And we were just at a friend's house and we ordered a pizza, and it came and it was sausage and mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I just wanted sausage, and it was like, oh sorry man. I was like, well fuck it, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten all day, so I'm gonna eat this. And I ate it, and I was like, fucking love mushrooms now. Like it's just some switch where it's I can't eat too much. There's a limit for mushrooms for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's 2 slices of pizza with mushrooms on it, and I'm good. But I do love me that umami now. Yep,
umami. They didn't teach us that as kids. That one didn't exist in our culture yet.
It's like Pluto being a moon. Or Pluto not being a planet.
Now it's a dwarf planetoid or something, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it's still there. It's okay. Mom, it's not a planet. Just, I'm sorry. I know you don't want to agree with me on this, but it's not anymore.
They know better than us. I'm sorry.
They're scientists. They've studied this shit. They've refined and narrowed the definition, and Pluto does not match that definition anymore. It's okay.
Not anymore. And you know what? Yeah, and I don't think it really quite met the other definition, but they clarified it so that it for sure didn't, because they're like, that's not a planet. Sorry, guy who discovered Pluto. Anybody,
yeah. If you're mad at anybody, just be mad at Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's the one who made the definitions and shit and killed Pluto's status in the world. So.
And if you are upset about that, go look up Planet X on YouTube, and I hope it doesn't lead you to porn, because the videos that I watched about it were quite interesting.
Yeah, just look up Planet X. That's 1X, not 3. 1X.
Not 3. Yeah, just one. So, anyways, this episode, speaking of umami, does go into that particular flavor. Your tongue has several different classifications of taste bud, or at least different parts of your tongue taste differently, and umami is there. They do this like fun thing where they have caricatures of each of the taste buds that live inside of Mochi's mouth. Yeah. Each of the flavors, that is. And occasionally they'll get their own musical number, and umami's is hilarious.
Oh man, I love it.
It's on the edge of innuendo.
Yeah, I love those like just small asides where they just cut away to animation or more puppetry or any of that kind of stuff. It's just it's nice little just intermissions for the kids where it's just, it's like, you've learned stuff, now let's have a fun little musical getaway.
Yeah.
And it's fun, as you said, it's fun for the parents too, because there's a lot of
it really is
a lot of good humor in there.
Oh, definitely. And some great guest stars, including like Zach Galifianakis, Jack Black. You got some great celebrity chefs in there, like Chef Massimo and Jose Andres, I believe is his name.
Yeah, Jose Andres. I love him. I've always been a fan of his because of the organization he runs. That I can't remember what it's called. World Kitchen.
I think that's correct. I believe that's what it's called. It's a really cool thing. If a disaster hits, they're one of the first people there trying to get food to people who don't have easy access to it. And
he's just a brilliant, fun chef to watch too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, both he and Massimo were cracking me up.
Oh yeah. And like, I grew up with my parents like that kind of stuff. They watched my dad watched Rachel Ray quite a lot, and we all watched Emerald every now and then. He was a fun chef. He's the guy who always toss salt into the bowl and be like, bam. Scream, bam. He was a lot of fun to watch, and but he had like a lively energy that made it entertaining. That's what Jose Andres has too. He just makes it so much fun to watch when he's cooking, because he's having a blast.
Especially with Waffles and Mochi, it is so good. Another one of the chefs that I thought did a great job. I thought and they do, they meet with like chefs and cooks and families around the world, as we said earlier. But another one of the chefs that I thought did a great job was Samin Nasrat. She's got a cool show on Netflix. I've only really watched the first episode of Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, and I think her part in this, she's in a couple episodes, really made me interested to watch her show, because it's all about the science of cooking, kind of, and those are the four main flavors of any dish. So I'm excited to watch that now.
She brought that same level of fun energy to teaching as Jose did to cooking. You know, it was fun to just listen to her talk because she was so excited about what she was talking about.
Yeah, and the puppeteers for Waffles and Mochi, I guess mostly Waffles, because Mochi just kind of sits there and gets animation later.
He eats food sometimes.
He does eat food sometimes. Their interactions with them being interested and learning, I think, is great because like they're always active and attentive there. Like sometimes you got puppets or animation on kids shows where they're learning something and they're like, okay, we can let them not do anything because the kid's going to be focusing on them. But I don't think that's true. The kids' attention wanders probably more than yours does. And they're going to want to know what the characters that they identify most with, Waffles and Mochi, are doing during the scene. And if they're really interested in what the person's saying, they're going to be interested too. And maybe I'm just rambling and...
No, I'm in agreement. I was just gonna add that the sounds of Mochi are provided by Peter Michael, and Michelle Zamara is the voice of Waffles.
That's good. Like
mention. You said, they both. It's funny to mention that Peter Michael is great at being a voice actor, but as you were saying, they are very attentive to what's going on, what they're learning. Right. And like you can hear it in Mochi's sounds. Like I know it's silly to say that because all he's doing is like wee,
but you really can. You know, but you can.
Yeah, and I'm sure he just provided that in the sound booth later. But but with Zamara, Michelle Zamara, I assume she was there on set learning at the same time. Maybe she provided it all in the sound booth later as well.
She might have. But if she did an amazing job lip matching.
Exactly, and their attentiveness, especially her Zamara, they're just, they deliver on the educational aspect, because it does seem like they're interested in what's going on. But my other favorite episode, as we had mentioned, was Herbs and Spices, and in that episode,
all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, all hell breaks loose. They didn't realize the value of herbs and spices. There's nothing more painful than going to Kroger or Target or wherever the hell you go to get your shit and go into the spice aisle and be like, I just want basil, and it's like $4 fucking, and it's this tiny little can. You're like, this is too fucking expensive, and then you're just like, I'm just gonna go home and grow my own fucking basil. Fuck this.
I gotta have my spices, man. I use so much spices.
I do too. For a long time, I didn't understand why it was so expensive. Right. And then I literally watched this episode where they explain the value of spices and how difficult some of this shit is to make and how important it is to everything. And, just watching it, it's just like, oh my God, it was so educational and entertaining at the same time because there's shit I didn't know about spices that happened in this episode.
No, the corn's a different episode. I did like that episode too because of the competition with Rashinda Jones.
Oh,
that was hilarious.
I think so. Where they're trying to have a cook off.
Yeah, a corn cook off. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like the snobby coworker who's just like, I am totally gonna kick your ass. Like you can go fuck yourself. And this is my bake-off to win.
Yeah, and that's what she says in the cook-off of this kid's show. Word for word.
Word for word. And she just totally cusses out Waffles and Mochi. And Mochi's like,
oh, Magikarp, help us. Oh, I called the Magikarp.
You turned it into a Pokemon.
It is similar colors, now that I think about it.
Yeah, inspired. Do you think it was an inspiration? I could see it.
Maybe. It could be. It's there to confuse the millennial parents. Yeah.
We're figuring out where Obama's coming up with all this shit. He read our file, and then he played. He hasn't. He couldn't play video games for a long time. So now that he's no longer president, he just blasted through Pokemon Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield or whatever those new ones were. I got a lot of video games to catch up on.
Oh shit. Well, I think we're ready for closing statements. I think we talked about this show, but I do have one thing to mention to you and to those who may not know. This show's already got a spin-off show. It is called...
Well, they didn't give it to Busy, did they?
No. It's
Busy
on
doesn't get a
Netflix.
fucking show.
It's on Netflix and on YouTube, I think. It is a talk show hosted by Jennifer Gardner, and it's called What's Cooking Tonight. And it is a talk show with like little game show elements like this. I watched the first episode right before we did this. It is, I wouldn't say it's equally as good as Waffles and Mochi, but it is fun and gives you a little bit more taste of Waffles and Mochi. Michelle Obama is there cooking with Chef Nasrat again, who they have really fun chemistry, actually, Mrs. Obama and the chef. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I don't know that I'll stick with the whole series, but if you are wanting more Waffles and Mochi, there's more out there for you. Oh, yeah. Just they turned around. Like, this show just came out. It must have been popular, and they're like, well, let's give them some award.
Probably. I mean, the Higher Grounds production, is that what they're called? Yeah, Higher Ground Productions. Yeah, they've got a lot of interesting stuff coming out, and a lot of it's on Netflix because they have that. I think they have a deal together. So, way to go. It's an interesting path for a former first lady and president to take to go into the entertainment industry. They're doing the opposite of the guy after them. He went from entertainment into the presidency.
Damn fuck. Well, I appreciate what I've seen so far, and it seems like they're going to remain focused on putting out stuff that will be good for factual and good for family fun.
Factual and educational entertainment.
So, I think it's obvious we like this.
Highly recommend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job. Every episode, I believe, was directed by Jeremy Connor, who co-wrote the episodes with Eric Thormelin, whatever. Sorry. But it's good entertainment. It's great for kids. I think there's a lot of good messages. As I said, there's a lot of good diversity, which is very important for younger entertainment because it just it shows kids aren't nobody's born racist, and that happens with how you grow up. And I think entertainment that shows a good blend of diversity and doesn't, take so much time to address it in any way, it's just normal.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. That's what you need.
I think so.
And that I highly, highly applaud this show for doing that. And, as we said, I've loved the guests, Jose Andres, Nasrat. They were both very entertaining, and like all of them were entertaining. Sadly I didn't write down all the names, but wonderful. I give it. It feels weird to give it the 4-star system, but I'm going to stick with it, I guess, because I don't want to design a new system for TV shows. So I give it 3 stars.
That's very nice. I definitely give it a full face. I think it really is a good show for anybody who, I don't know, wants to learn a little bit about food. But it's not like, I don't feel like you have to go out and watch this. If you have kids, it's definitely a good place to go. Go watch it.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have kids, I think it's fun. So watch it. But at full face, I'm not going to give it a face and a half because I don't think that
because Michelle Obama is an actor.
No, not just because of Michelle Obama's acting. I'm not bringing that into my consideration in judging this show. I think that she did a fine job for a person who is not an actor.
She did. I'm just playing.
Oh, thanks, Mrs. O. I did enjoy your show. I've been the Faceless Leone.
And I am the Green Traveler.
Safe travels, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the Fiction Works 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.